across vibrant green fields of Ogun, Oyo, Kano and Kaduna states in Nigeria. A dance between human hands and the rhythm of nature persists. From farm to market, the landscape of Nigeria's horticulture sector is fast evolving.
Before 5 years back, I don't know what is called crates. I only know the crate of mineral. That's what I know. But now I am able to know the crate of tomato as well.
Once plagued by 50 to 60% post-harvest losses, a 13 million metric tons vegetable supply deficit, and a staggering $1.06 to $1.6 billion financing gap, the sector now shows signs of inclusion, sustainability, and resilience, thanks to the Dutch-funded HortiNigeria Program.
The Embassy of the Kingdom of the Netherlands sought to contribute to a more sustainable, a more inclusive, and a more profitable horticulture sector in Nigeria. To help us achieve this vision, we put together a team of experts that spanned 4 partners led by IFDC, East-West Seed Knowledge Transfer, Royal Tropical Institute, and Wageningen University.
HortiNigeria is a product of a bilateral discussion between the Dutch and then the Nigerian government. HortiNigeria is there to address some of the fragmentations within the value chain, reduce post-harvest losses, address the issue of low adoption of eco-efficient practices, low access to finance, lack of coordination within the policy environment, and a lot of other issues that affect the value chain actors within the vegetable sector in Nigeria. Out of our target of 50,000, we've been able to supersede that. We've been able to reach 70,000 smallholder farmers, or otherwise we call them producer organizations, in Kano and in Kaduna State. We've been able to also increase productivity and income of those farmers. We've been able to attract investment into the horticulture sector within the locations and within the value chains by about over 4 million euros. That includes about 2.8 million euros of an investment into one of our partners in the north, specifically in Kaduna State. In 2024, HortiNigeria was at the National Council on Agriculture, which is a platform of all stakeholders led by the Federal Ministry of Agriculture. Is the highest policy-making body. So HortiNigeria presented a memo to increase the credit risk guarantee for tomato plastic crates.
We are working together with HortiNigeria to see how best we could reduce to the barest minimum. I'm not saying you could achieve 100%. Horticulture Nigeria has been in for the past 4 years, and the achievements that they have recorded, I believe in a very short period of time in the future, we'll be able to overcome a lot of this, not only in terms of getting good seeds and getting high yield, but in terms of reducing the post-harvest losses. One area that we are also working with, and I was very interested in the production of crates for transportation of vegetables. Today, we mostly, in most of our farm communities, horticultural products are transported in locally fabricated baskets, and they sit on top of each other. And you see how the roads, sometimes roads are a bit bumpy. And by the time you're transporting these items, they're bouncing on one or each other. And there's the heat, there's lack of circulation within the vehicles. So at the end of the day, you go and you offload and you see that you have lost almost 60-70% of your produce. So they have developed these crates that I went ahead and also said, please, I'm mandating them to also create collapsible crates, to fabricate, to make collapsible crates.
The first component of the project is working with smallholder farmers in the north, largely in Kano and Kaduna State, in the open field cultivation.
Before coming of HortiNigeria to us, we have been facing a lot of challenges. Example, there is total absolute to our vegetable farming, and also we don't have access to market input, and also we don't have a good knowledge of new innovation of this coming into our farming production.
Gaskiya dai matsalolin kusan zan iya cewa na farko dai akwai rashin ilimin zamani da ba mu da shi. To amma yanzu zuwan HortiNigeria za mu iya cewa gaskiya alhamdulillah, domin akwai ilimance kala-kala wadda muka samu a kungiyance ga mata baki daya.
I received trainings, a lot of trainings from HortiNigeria. One I received in seedling production. Second, I received in trialism. Third, I received in 4R of fertilizer. And also I received in post-harvest handling. And even I have access to market and update bi-weekly. So I can be able to go and find another a market that I can take my input for a good price.
Abin da ya danganci harkokin noma, saboda a da lokacin da muke yin noma ma ba mu san yaya za mu tallata shi a social media ba. Mukan yi noma mu zo ma mu dinga neman kai da su. To na farko dai kaga kaman wannan dabbobi da na siya, kaga duk a cikin riba ne. Sannan abu na biyu, duk da aka ce tsakanin miji da mata sai Allah ko, ba lalle ne sai na fito da wasu abubuwa wanda zan ce ni ma shi ma mai gidana na dan daɗa tashin sa wani bangare na noma ba. To amma hakan ma zan iya cewa gaskiya ina dan daɗa dafa masa a irin wannan tafiyar. Ko dan taki ne haka dai, ga dan kuɗi a dan sai taki a kai gona da dai sauransu. Kuma a ƙarƙashin wannan tafiya ma akwai yunkurin karatu na yara, ba ga wani lokacin abubuwa duk sun dan makalkale. Sai kaga an dan samu an dan yi abin da ake so, a sakamakon namiji shi zai ɗawainiyar wasu abubuwan tunda ba shi da shi a wasu guraren, sai kaga an dan taimake shi. To ribobi gaskiya suna da yawa banda bangaren iyaye, kuma duk a ƙarƙashin dai HortiNigeria. Gaskiya ba magana ta dan Allah Malam Abdul, shekara 2 da ta huce haduwa ta da HortiNigeria ni gaskiya ban san iya nasarori ba.
To further extend the reach of knowledge, these stewards of the soil have been trained on eco-efficient and good agronomic practices. HortiNigeria joined hands in partnership with the Center for Dryland Agriculture at Bayero University, Kano, mirroring one of its extension resource, a horticulture learning site.
The idea about setting up the learning site started when we were invited by HortiNigeria to participate in commissioning of different learning sites across Nigeria, in Kano, Abuja, and Zaria. And based on what we saw, we felt that this is something we should have also on our farm. Although we have high-tech greenhouses, seedling facilities on the farm, but we do receive questions from local farmers that do visit us, students, women, and other actors in the sector, about how do we have some technologies that are more affordable to us, something we can adopt. So we felt that having this learning site alongside the high-tech facilities will actually boost what we do in terms of horticultural knowledge sharing and capacity building. So that's how we began to talk with HortiNigeria on how do we now come back to this CDA farm and set up learning sites alongside the high-tech facilities we have.
From the soil, where every story of life begins, possibilities are being redefined for smallholder and entrepreneurial farmers, agro dealers and suppliers, aggregators, processors, policymakers, facilitating the development of a sustainable and inclusive horticulture sector in Nigeria.
For East West Seed, the specific role we played was to provide high-quality vegetable seed for smallholder farmers. And of course, we try to teach them basic techniques in terms of the gaps, that is the good agricultural practices. Beside the good seeds, you can have good seeds, but then if your practices are shabby, you wouldn't be able to get good yield. HortiNigeria was able to identify key stakeholders in the vegetable sector, starting from the seed company, which is on the input side of it, to the farmers, who are the people that grow the vegetables. But then in between, you have to look into how farmers can access these seeds, and they can only access it through agro dealers. So HortiNigeria is able to train agro dealers, strengthen their network, educate them, because the farmers really depend on the agro dealers for advices. So if you're able to train this agro dealer, they become custodian of this knowledge, and they are able to teach the farmers even when the project goes. So it has some element of sustainability, because it actually has addressed where the seeds will be gotten by the farmers, that is addressing the issue of accessibility.
I have engaged myself with a HortiNigeria program. They have trained us, especially on products knowledge. As an agro dealer, you need to know the knowledge of the product, so that you can extend or expand the knowledge to the farmer, so that the farmer can use it appropriately without any problem. For example, this is the type of the seed that I'm selling. It's a hybrid. It has advantages of resistance to diseases, and in terms of yields, you will get more yields, and even the taste of it, and it will contribute in terms of enhancing the value chain of agricultural, and also the productivity to the farmers in the nation.
Before coming of HortiNigeria, we use OPV, that is our local seed, or the seed that we used maybe last year. But in coming of HortiNigeria taught us how to have a hybrid seed. So a hybrid seed helps us to know the seed will be resistant to some diseases and some insects, and have high yield that we have in our production.
The second component of the program prioritized piloting innovation and production systems for young entrepreneurial farmers. This component enhanced the integration of various innovations such as nursery establishments, greenhouse management, and storage facilities in 22 entrepreneurial hubs established in Oyo and Ogun states, while facilitating access to market.
HortiNigeria coming in onto the scene in a way catalyzed the development of greenhouse cultivation by increasing the awareness, by bringing in seed merchants who had better seeds that were suited for greenhouse cultivation. And of course, by extension, fabricators of greenhouses also started showing interest in commercial greenhouses. We are not there yet, but certainly we're far distance from the zero level that we started. Yeah, 2023, we have begun to bring in greenhouse growers to in fact be part of the faculty in teaching the courses on greenhouse user management. So it gives it the practical tint and adds that to the theory that the students have, and we foresee that this will continue to get better and better.
With HortiNigeria, we worked around things like drip irrigation for open field. We worked around things like cold storage. And if you realize the fact that in Nigeria, over 30% of our produce are lost to post-harvest waste. What this essentially means is the farmer is producing what we go to the dustbin, and it's a loss on multiple fronts, because first, the farmer has wasted energy, wasted input, wasted resource. As though that is not bad enough, this wasted resource goes the extra mile to also ensure that the environment is contaminated and it contributes to the impact of climate change. So with HortiNigeria, we are able to pilot some of our cold storage systems. So we have over 100 tons of cold storage on the farm. HortiNigeria gave us 20 of that. And seeing the effect and the benefits of that, we were able to expand on that. So for the capacity building with HortiNigeria, we were able to pilot growing onions as one of the major crops in the Southwest. And that was a first, because onions was not something that was traditionally known to grow in the Southwestern region. Today, if I'm not wrong, the largest onion farmer is a young person that was trained through HortiNigeria, who is now doing onions on a large scale, and also consulting for other onion people that want to come into the whole onions value chain. And much more than that, because we are also into agro processing, we have added onions to part of those things that we process for some of the bigger FMCG companies, so that we are able to take from him and push out.
What the HortiNigeria program basically did was to say, look, how do we begin to put innovation on the table as well, such that we can scale for those who are getting maybe some 20 crates of tomato from the farm? How do we make them, increase that number to 30, 40? And then how do we also ensure that market access is also taken care of? Because before now, the priority has always been around production, but with the HortiNigeria program, we began to shift first to marketing and then from markets to production. We're not surprised now that we have quite a number of our farmers also setting up, nurseries. Quite a number of them are beginning to just focus on nursery production alone. And then they raise, seeds, to seedlings, and then they sell off. And this was actually a point on the value chain that was not really viable, because before now was just to drop the seeds on the ground in some cases, or just have, a very local nursery where you could not really tell much in terms of, the seed viability.
While the need to support smallholder and entrepreneurial farmers with knowledge to boost productivity and income was a priority for HortiNigeria, another critical component was facilitating access to finance for MSMEs and catalyzing investment in the horticulture sector in Nigeria.
Because of the collaboration with HortiNigeria, or the efforts made by HortiNigeria, Sterling Bank was able to create or unlock funding for horticulture through our Sterling Women and Youth in Agri Finance value chain product. That product is a $3 million product available at 9% interest rate. So we're then able to adapt the 9% interest rate loan product, right, to fund beneficiaries in the horticulture value chain. And that has been a very remarkable experience for us. We were also able to modify the product to leverage on the cold chain storage solution or the debt stock, which is what we have then financed as collateral for the loan. Of course, you don't expect farmers or young farmers, or especially women who are very vulnerable, so a lot of factors hindering them from accessing funding from the bank. So we were very flexible and innovative with the Sweet Actrim product through collaboration with Horti, right, to make the product very, very accessible for the beneficiaries in the space. The products developed by Sterling and Horti, they're very friendly. The loan terms are friendly. It's uncollateralized. What we then do is to leverage on the assets that we have financed as a collateral, or the stock we're funding. And there are loans that are laced with moratorium, sort of like a grace period when the farmer starts to harvest and starts having cash. Then he can pay back. And the loans are also tied to the gestation of the crop that the farmer is farming. A case in point is Baliki Salahuddin, the co-founder of Green Republic, right, Farms. A young girl we met at our agro pitch program. We had that program sometime in 2023 at Marriott, where we wanted to sieve out the most innovative, projects or businesses in the cultural space, championed by youths, and see how we could unlock funding.
The funds that we received from Sterling aided the process of us constructing 3 climate resilience greenhouses, which we now use to cultivate bell peppers that we now sell to the market. HortiNigeria has impacted Green Republic Farms in many ways, and most times when I'm asked to share this, I don't even know where to start from, right? Aside from the fact that at the beginning, HortiNigeria trusted that Green Republic Farms should get this facility from Sterling. So Sterling, please give it to them. And they, it's just fast-track things. And aside from that, HortiNigeria has been tremendous in terms of recommendation and referencing. So sometimes when we're applying for funds, we reach out to HortiNigeria, even at a very, very short notice. They still provide that recommendation letter, which has really helped us in accessing, some other opportunities for Green Republic Farms. From that, also, we've also had the opportunity to learn from other champions through the learning programs that HortiNigeria HortiNigeria does every year in exchanging ideas and co-creating together. Also, market linkage. It has also expanded our market beyond the market that we're currently serving. We're not able to serve other business champions that are reselling what we're selling, more closer to the market strategy.
Sitemo Technology Limited does micro lending. And these people were in Zaria in Kaduna State, 6 of them at that time. So we partnered with them because it aligns very well with our vision, which is to empower hardworking women everywhere they are. But that was our first time of going into agriculture, as it were. But it was fantastic because from then till now, we've had zero non-performance in terms of repayment. They've repaid all their money because we align with them. They pay back during the harvest period. We tinkered with our tenure. Usually we give 1 month to 3 months, but for them, we extended it to 6 to 8 months to correspond with their harvest period. And it has been fantastic. From 6 farmers, we are now talking about 36 farmers. From less than ₦1 million, we are talking about 18 million, as it were. So it has been a very wonderful collaboration.
The biggest problem with most processing infrastructure in Nigeria for tomato especially is the supply chain issue. And once there is no supply of raw material to the factory, then most processing plants either do not grow or just shut down completely. In the case of tomato jaws, alongside our farm here that we are engaging farmers, working with the HortiNigeria, we're able to build an outreach with farmers beyond our own cluster. And we have worked with farmers in Zaria, in Kano, and it has built that reach, and we have been able to get supply of tomato from these farmers. That has contributed in convincing our investors that it is possible to get enough raw material to expand the factory.
A farmer isn't as rich as their harvest, but they are as rich as their access to credible markets and off-takers. HortiNigeria made this happen by catalyzing business-to-business linkages in a bid to curtail post-harvest losses.
Maltrol markets is arguably the biggest perishable market in Africa. When they say we have solution to your post-harvest loss, and when Nigeria came in, we were able to see the difference between raffia basket and crate, and that is called to see HortiNigerian. Before 5 years back, I don't know what is called crates. I only know the crate of mineral. That's what I know. But now I'm able to know the crate of tomato as well. We require a lot of things. But I think from what we start seeing that we believe is something that can work is the cold room, which the HortiTwo in partnership with HortiNigeria have in the market. It's not really so big. It's a very small one that like we can call it kind of testron, which most of the suppliers uses in the market. People supplying hotels, industries, when they buy their items, like in the night, they keep it there, and then the following day they take it, which help tremendously.
So the beginning of our collaboration with the Dutch-funded HortiNigeria Program came at a very pivotal time, right? So it was a time where stakeholders in the space are asking questions around how do we move this sector forward, right? And HortiTwo being a front runner in providing one of the key infrastructure, right, which is cold storage and cooling generally, was invited to that table, right? And then we're able to, of course, learn from also other players, input providers, aggregators, off-takers, and the likes, right? And I would say one of the first fruit of that relationship was our entry into the Maltrol markets, right? Because at the time, we were still trying to make inroad into speaking with the key stakeholders within the market. And all we kept getting to that point was that there's no space, right? They said, okay, the best you can do is probably buy a building, pull it down, and turn it to whatever you want to do. Of course, a very expensive path for us to follow. But through the HortiNigeria convening, we're able to meet the key stakeholders from the Maltrol market. And then we had a series of meetings afterwards. And that gave birth to our first major market deployments within that market. We also want to speak about NIOTS, which also was a very key project in terms of the nature of it. It's a federal government infrastructure that has been moribund for decades. And also Nigeria, of course, in their ingenuity of trying to come up with viable solutions around this space, was able to also facilitate that collaboration between a tripartite agreement between Eco22, the NIO team, as well as HortiNigeria. And they were able to deploy a dual cold chain infrastructure, right? So there's a chiller part, there's a freezer part, right? So chilling, of course, which is best applicable for horticulture produce, and freezing mostly for some type of fruit and vegetables as well, but that needs to be preserved for an extended period of time. We've also worked with some of the key players within the program. Notable is the Soilless Farm Lab, right? And also Nigeria then came at a time where we were also trying to negotiate a deal, and then they stimulated that deal before it became a transaction, and we were able to close it. We closed the first one, then we've done 2, 3, and even 4 deployments on a business-to-business basis with the Soilless Farm Lab. When produce come into the hub, and this is same across all hubs where we also operate, there's a part where you sort, there's a part where you grade before it goes into the cold room. These are also some sort of jobs created for mostly young people within the market community where we operate. Depending on the volume of what customers bring per time, it then means that the more money they could potentially make. That's on a regular basis. On the other part is that for each of these hubs that we also have deployed, we also create jobs for the contractors, technical jobs, technicians. So for the cold room fabricators and installers, for the solar panels installers, for the whole wiring works, the earthworks, and everything in between that goes into getting the cold room ready. We've also sort of created these direct jobs to people for over 30 young people across board.
What is a full circle impact-driven program without enhancing sector coordination? Component 4 of the program have the mandate to weave the threads of the sector together, strengthening its fabric through stronger collaborations, policy advocacy, and business-to-business linkages.
Some of the opportunities is meeting other business champions, which have bettered so much opportunities for us, courtesy of my engagement with HortiNigeria. That has also created, of course, revenues for us. So one of the business champion is Soilless Farm, or we call Soilless Lab. Currently, we're supplying them all their chili peppers, we're supplying them gingers, turmeric, we're supplying them also onions as we speak with you. So that's courtesy of this engagement. And that being said, again, like I said, the opportunities to learn so many things when it comes to vegetable value chain. We didn't have some, we knew what we were doing, but with this partnership, it was like a broader scope for us to understand so many opportunities we can do in the vegetable value chain.
Things come abundantly from our job market, and of course, that's the work of the aggregators to ensure that they make sure that you don't have any shortage in our job market.
We ventured into aggregation in the year 2020 when we had issues selling our perishables because we're based in Ibadan. We had issues. We're always sending our goods from Ibadan down to Lagos to sell, and the return was not really good. So I decided to take it upon myself to try and solve my own problem first. So I came down to Lagos to look for markets that we can be selling to. So I came to MyTool, and that's how I came into the world of aggregation. The one thing the HortiNigeria program did for me was that it expanded that part of our business, our aggregation. That gave me more security. That's the word. Yeah, gave me more security that I can send my produce down to MyTool, and they will sell it for me. And my money, most importantly, will come back to me, because actually farmers have had terrible stories sending produce from Ibadan down to Lagos, and they won't get their money back.
All of these efforts has been a springboard for job creation in the sector.
This is one of the things that the HortiNigeria did, to showcase modern technology and innovations that are possible in horticulture, and also to support them with capacity development as well, to engage. For all the young ones that we're working with in the state, we have their database. They are biometric, by the way. They have their biometrics, their iris and their fingerprints are done, and they have their ID cards, that make us to be able to identify genuinely, those ones that are engaging. And when HortiNigeria came to Oyo State, they took from those database, meaning that, these are people that are already trained, that already have desire, because they were selected out of over 10,000. It's these ones that we have in the database. And those are the young people that they work with.
These components that includes Ogun State is the component 2. And most of these technology innovations that are climate smart in horticultural sector has been introduced through HortiNigeria into our youth and women in this state. One of it is the use of this greenhouse technology. They did something sometimes ago, a survey that was presented about the use of protected agriculture. I think it was Pioneer. Prior to them, we've not been planting onions in Ogun State. This is a major breaking ground event, the onion production. It was piloted and it was the first of its kind in the state. And we have many of our youths planting it. Like bell pepper or green pepper, the one they use to cook this fried rice. I think the bell pepper, we've not been planting it. In fact, some people said it cannot be grown in the outside environment. HortiNigeria, they did this greenhouse and also the open field. And we can see it's evidence. Even here, we plant it. We've planted the first circle. The second circle is ongoing.
The learning center, which is supported by HortiNigeria, will be quite useful to our own irrigation expansion effort, so that our farmers across the expanded irrigation sites will now be able to learn technologies not with ease. They could now deploy on their farms that from planting to harvesting to preservation. So I'm sure the Learning Center at Bayero University, initiated by HortiNigeria, will be quite useful to our own irrigation expansion efforts.
HortiNigeria has been very helpful in improving the capacity of our smallholder farmers in the state. One key area is not just training them that has led to the improvement in their yield, but again, you also link them to guaranteed market. Tomato especially is one of the crops that suffer a lot of, the post-harvest losses. So while there is a guaranteed market, it encourages them to produce more, because whatever quantities they have, there is a ready market that will absorb it. We truly appreciate HortiNigeria for the support and partnership, if I may.
As the HortiNigeria program winds down, like pepper plants that sprout anew from sturdy roots and keep bearing harvest after harvest, the program is rooted in sustainability, with its impact continuing to yield results.
In terms of sustainability, I think right from the onset, we have that at the back of our minds. During our engagement with actors, we try to see who are the actors that will outlive us, that will be there even when we're not there. So we identified educational institutions like the universities, even inciting our learning sites. We also worked with platforms like Nigeria Agribusiness Group. We worked with Nigerian Horticulture Research Institute, NIHOD in Ibadan, and the different academic institutions. So sustainability is at the back of our minds, and so in engaging partners, we identified partners that are already into the business and also willing to collaborate and also live beyond the life of the project. So that's why it was really strategic to work with NABG, work with NIHOD, work with commodity associations in the vegetable sector, NATPAN, and Yeah, the Onion Growers Association and then the Fresh Vegetable Growers. So these platforms are existing and they will continue to exist beyond the life of the project.
NABG and Horti had worked together on, for example, the implementation of the implementation framework for the seed policy is something that we worked on together, given that the importance of seed, especially for horticulture, cannot be overemphasized. We had worked with HortiNigeria to support a development of a clear policy implementation framework to that effect. Furthermore, I mean, engagements and roundtable conversations around the use of plastic crates by farmers and other value chain actors within tomato, the engagement with or workshop with access to finance players such as microfinance banks, commercial banks, to up the credit risk guarantee for producers of horticulture product, I think has been quite instrumental. So in terms of policy shift, I think NABG and Horti's partnership has been very, very instrumental and will continue to be instrumental, such that actors within the ecosystem will continue to feel the effect for a long time to come.
Policy, yes. Since we are under Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, which deal with policy direction for horticultural value chain. Mainly our own is to conduct research, but vis-a-vis the policy advocates. And if you look at it from that perspective, there was a time, based on practical exposure, there was a time we had a tomato conference where NIHOT and HortiNigeria were there. Most especially, that was necessitated by this absolute outbreak, and it was the platform was provided by MBJ, Nigeria Agricultural Business Group, that time. Then a policy came out of that on how to mitigate the impact of this tuta absoluta, and which has to do with training the farmer on the technology NIHOT has developed.
Pests and disease, tuta absoluta has been the biggest challenge to tomato production in Nigeria recently, and that includes our farm. One of the things that we have done recently is to begin to understand how tuta behaves outside the tomato growing season. So we are working with a company in the US and also partnering with Copet, which were introduced to us by HortiNigeria. They sent us some samples of their pheromones, and we are trying to do a study to understand how they behave in the rainy season. That's the off-season for growing tomato. Once we understand that, it helps us in our strategy for preparing for pest control during the dry season when the tomato are in the field. One of the things that this study does, it tells you based on scientific data, what is the most important pests in the field and how they behave. And once you know that, you can be able to put in place a proper integrated pest management to manage that in the tomato growing season.
By setting up the learning side within this university, the highest academic institution you have, that's the major focus is already knowledge sharing, capacity building. So having this collaboration, a consortium of an academic institution, and also bringing in key private partners into the collaboration, and then you have the international development program working together. So I see that even beyond the HortiNigeria, this learning side is going to continue as a major hub in knowledge sharing in horticultural sector, and it's going to play a key role, especially in the sector in Kano State, because we'll be having local farmers, youths, especially women, coming here for training on internship visits and so on. So it's going to be a sustained activity based on what we are planning in the consortium.
The collaboration with HortiNigeria has helped us unlock affordable, smart, innovative funding to players in the horticulture value chain.
Most especially the market linkage they were able to create for us, it has made our life more easy. Now, I can tell any farmer with confidence that I can sell 5,000 crates of tomatoes.
So, HortiNigeria gaskiya sun haɓaka kasuwanci na sosai saboda na fara ciniki akan miliyan nan gaba ina fatan in zama ina ciniki akan biliyon da izinin Allah. Na gode.
I would describe the partnership between National Horticultural Research Institute, NIHOT, and HortiNigeria as partner in progress. A perfect one for that matter.
I like the idea that quite a lot of younger people were engaged. You know, it's an opportunity for us to showcase the kind of agricultural practices that the younger ones should be engaging on. Not just your hoes and cutlasses, but something that is driven by innovation and science.
HortiNigeria has done tremendously well. We have seen the impacts.
And so the dance between human hands and the rhythm of nature lives on. HortiNigeria, facilitating inclusion and sustainability within the horticulture sector in Nigeria.